How often do you see middle-aged or older women claiming, "I know my worth" on dating apps? "I'm not interested in playing games and I'm looking for a serious relationship. I care about the seriousness of the relationship." These are the words of a professional woman who has spent the last 3 decades establishing herself. Women in their mid-30s and beyond are using dating apps in droves to find a man who can support them and carry on their genetic lineage so they can retire early. Although men have become more realistic about the situation and less likely to settle down with an older woman in recent decades, older women can still find partners who are willing to marry them. In the past, because men were ignorant of women's legal roles, the majority of women avoided these fields. Their wives, who supposedly loved them, turned against them because they were unhappy and desired money more than they desired their husbands, and the men began to witness their friends and relatives being eliminated from the family. There are still plenty of monkeys on modern dating apps who provide older women with attention and validation, although it pales in comparison to the attention they once received as children. Women of a certain age are beginning to realize that they erred in believing the womanist movement's premise that men are less likely to commit crimes now than in the past. They were assured that a male would always appear as they drank. They must have known that the woman is the Kool-Aid. Yet they continued to consume it. Therefore, they should not rush into marriage simply because they turned 18 years old. To maximize the number of physical attachments a woman could have prior to settling down, they put solid companions on hold and pursued the men they secretly desired. With the proliferation of social media and dating apps came the beginning of the era of hookup culture. Older women using dating apps to find a man willing to commit to a relationship is a symptom of the collapse of dating and committed relationships, which would not exist if a culture of casual physical encounters had never existed. Initially, it was women who established the norm of spontaneous physical contact. Women have ruined dating for themselves and future generations due to their desire to obtain the boys they desired and have fun. Perhaps the most disheartening aspect of the rise of dating apps is that the majority of their users are the same women who have contributed to the decline of traditional dating and romantic relationships. In contrast, their daughters, who are now in their late 20s to early to mid-30s, are in the same position in this regard as their mothers were, as they too have had little success in finding a partner. Because divorce has become more difficult to obtain, these men are not making any significant efforts to find a long-term partner. To add insult to injury, no man wants to enchant a woman who has been aggressively pursued by hundreds of men because the other men she liked were uninterested. Men are less willing to take financial risks because they do not want a girlfriend or wife who is only interested in dating men, and because they do not want a girlfriend or wife who is only interested in dating men. Consequently, an increasing number of middle-aged and elderly women are content with the fact that men have adapted to life without them. Women of a certain age who use dating apps to complain and radiate negativity, or women who have always been independent and never felt the need for a man's companionship. Neither men nor poverty are affected by this. Considering the current dating landscape, it is baffling why men would want to date women who are already well into their senior years when they could be dating women in their prime, which is about to enter another recession and where time is becoming increasingly difficult. The question is why a man would pay more for a physically unfit woman who desires a long-term relationship. Some women make a living by selling their bodies online, which defies logic. Therefore, you should feel no pity for any of these women. Women of such an age are unsuitable as wives and are seeking a retirement plan as opposed to a life partner. So they will divorce you regardless of the circumstances, despite your stunning beauty. When older women on dating apps express significant interest in you, you must remain calm and maintain perspective. They have traversed 3 corpses, and your men have beaten the affection out of them. Now, all they desire is your money and possibly a child. I could go on and on about the challenges women face when using dating apps, but I'd rather let them describe their own experiences. Men have a wider age range to choose from when dating, but they are also more likely to date younger women. To jump into a new relationship and less likely to give the previous one a second chance, it's common for men to date both younger and older women, which could be seen as cold-hearted. Women in their 40s and 50s are frequently viewed as significantly more physically evolved and capable of providing significantly more pleasure than, for example, women in their 20s. It is unfortunate that men prefer partners in their 20s and 30s, as raising children on your own is difficult. According to C advocates Nicola Han and Nett Lamb, single mothers who raise their children alone frequently feel that they have nothing to offer society. As a result, they may believe that going out to pubs and clubs to meet people is reserved for the young, She can no longer pursue a romantic relationship outside of a relationship institution. In addition, she does not conceal the fact that she experiences accompanying depression, because I prefer to date men my age, and because the majority of men my age are only interested in women in their 20s and 30s. I gave up on online dating after discovering that only older men were reaching out to me. When it is so difficult to meet men who are worth meeting, it is difficult to imagine a scenario in which I could find a companion. It has the potential to become a full-time occupation, and the lady will reject the man's advances even if he initiates contact in order to find someone more suitable for her. Even if extreme gaming is unparalleled and will remain so, she likely dated men in their 50s and 70s, and still resisted settling down. All those in their 40s when I was in my early 30s, this seemed so much older. The majority of the mail I receive comes from individuals in the 55+ and 50+ age brackets. It appears that the ladies have nothing better to do with their time. I would never ever recommend that a man settle down with an older woman, as long as you are not absolutely certain that you want a family. They deem it acceptable. In the foreseeable future, I intend to have a child by myself. And when she reaches the age of 30, I will urge her to settle down and start a family. Expect to have less free time in the future if you intend to start a family. Essentially, the story is about a woman in her 30s who regrets her decision to delay having children and expresses her regrets to the reader. In addition, she has no choice but to become pregnant alone because she cannot find a suitable partner with whom to start a family. If you yield to fear and form a pact, you will regret it if you deviate. To help us, please watch this video. Please subscribe and send this video to anybody you think will benefit from it the most.